So we are continuing on in 2.7 or 2.8. This is 2.8.
2.8.
Yep. And we're ready. We're ready for problem number 7. So this is another great big one like we ended with yesterday. All right, so let's take a look at it. What do you think? Can we group? Remember yesterday we tried to group and it didn't work? So what did we do when we couldn't group? We did our PRRs and all that. This one, I think, does group. We can take out an x squared and a negative 4. Right, make sure you can do that on your own, guys. Right? It's one thing to just copy down what Miss Ford's doing, but you need to be able to do this on your own. Okay? Now, write down your x plus 3. Not twice. Not x minus 3. Just write down x plus 3. And then x squared minus 4. And what about x squared minus 4?
Okay.
X plus 2, x minus 2.
Yes, ma'am.
So, I am going to have 3 dots on my number line. And the dots will be at negative 3, negative 2, and 2. And I'm going to be very careful when I put my dots on my number line that they're in order. That's a number line. Can't be mixing numbers around. They got to go in order. They're open dots. Right? And now I'm going to shade somewhere. So pick a number, any number that's not a dot. 3. 3's out here. If I put 3 into my problem, I get 6 times 5 times 1. If I put in 3, now I know that's 30, but I really don't care what it is. What do I care about? Is it bigger than 0? Is 30 bigger than 0? Yes, 30 is bigger than 0. So what does that mean? I shade it. I shade the part where 3 is. 3 is the number we checked. Now, would you consider this to be a normal problem?
Yeah.
Yes, because nothing is squared. I don't have that. That would make it abnormal. If it's a normal problem, that is no squares on your parentheses, you're allowed to shortcut. So if this section is shaded, this one isn't, this one is, and this one isn't. Alternate. Shade, not shade, shade, not shade. We cannot do that in every problem. We can only do it when there's no square. If there were a square on there, then what would I have to do? I couldn't alternate. What would I have to do? Pick a number and check every section. Like you picked 3, 3 checked that section. So then you would have to pick maybe 1 and check this section and so on. You'd have to check every section. But we don't need to do that because we don't have any squares. So what's the answer? Everything that's shaded. Parentheses, -3, -2. In union with 2 to infinity. Is that okay? Alright, I want to do a couple more, then we gotta do a practice quiz if I read it off. I think I did. Okay. Alright, one more, or let's do a couple more here. Alright, that problem looks, this problem looks different. Would you agree with me? The parentheses are on top of each other instead of next to each other. Doesn't really matter. I'm still going to draw a number line, and I'm going to put 2 dots on that number line. And where do you think those dots are going to be? Take a wild guess. -1 and 3.
So even if it's not in parentheses on, like, in a fraction, you still take out the 2?
Even if what now?
If it's not in parentheses.
Yeah, these are like parentheses. But since there's only one of each, I don't have to put it in parentheses. But yeah, it's what makes it 0. What makes the top 0, what makes the bottom 0, that's where your dots go. Now guess what I'm going to do? Pick a number. What number do you want to pick? 2? Somebody said pick 2. 2 is right here. Can you pick any number you want? Yeah. Somebody suggested 2. Here we go. If I put in 2, I get 3 over -1. Now that is negative. Is negative less than 0?
Yes.
Yep. So I'm going to shade there. Is the problem normal? Yes. What makes it not normal? If a parentheses is squared. I don't have that. So therefore, if that one's shaded, this one isn't, and that one isn't. They alternate. So what's the answer to the problem? -1 to 3. So easy. So easy. Now, number, what is it, 9. It's a little bit bigger, but we're going to do the same thing. What will be step 1 in number 9? I'm going to factor, right? I'm going to factor. So my top factors, x plus 3, x minus 3. And my bottom as x plus 2, x minus 2. Nothing cancels. So therefore, my number line is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. Does that make sense to everybody? 4 x's. Every x gets a dot. So where will the dots be?
-3, 2.
Gotta get them in order. So -3, -2, 2 and 3. They're like, this is a number line. Is that okay? All right, here comes the tricky piece. Your gut feeling is that you should color in your dots, right? Of course. Here's the issue. I'm going to color in the -3 and the 3. But even though that's an or equal to, I can't color in the 2 and the -2. Think about it. If you let x be 2, if you colored in that dot and said, okay, x can be 2, what happens right here if you put in 2? You get a 0. Where? In the bottom? Are zeros ever allowed in the bottom? No. So if your dot is coming out of the denominator, it has to be open. No matter what the sign is in the problem, no matter what. If it's a denominator dot, it's open. Everybody hear me? Make a little note maybe to remember, denominator dot open. Always, 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 always. So when I write my answer, this problem is going to have a mixture of brackets and parentheses because I have closed and open dots. All right, now what? Pick a point. So you got a lot, I don't care, pick one. 7. All right, so 7's out here. She's picking a number out here. So if I put in 7, I get 10 times 4 over 9 times 5. Now I don't want you to get all hung up about what that equals. What do I really want to know? Is it bigger than 0 or not? So looking at these numbers, 10, 4, 9, 5, is that going to be bigger than 0? Yes, because it's positive. So that means out here where 7 is, I'm going to shade. Would you consider this problem normal?
No.
Yes. Boys and girls, there is one thing that makes your problem not normal. And what is that? A squared on a parentheses. Are there any squares on those parentheses? No. That's good news, because that means if that's shaded, this is not, this is not, is. Otherwise, guys, if we had a squared in this problem, I mean on the parentheses, we would have to be checking numbers in every spot. All right, so what's my final answer? All 3 of these are going to be your answer. Negative infinity to -3. Pay attention to your parentheses and brackets. Union with -2 to 2. Union with 3 to infinity. What do you think? Does that look okay? Everybody okay? All right. Now, problem 10 is a little bit different, so I'm going to hold off on that for a second. And we are going to do our practice quiz. Huh?
So much flashlight.
This is
What are we doing this?
everything
Bro.
shaded is part of your
Yeah,
answer.
what are we doing? What we finna do, bro? There.
Yeah, so everything out there is shaded. Okay? You need to come to office hours. I need to
So-
get that kind of questions, okay?
You do that too? Like,
All right, here's our practice quiz. We got a problem on each side. We got 2 of them.
you finna have them outbreaks.
So don't put your notes away. If we have time, we'll come back to it.
Yeah, shade butter. I have what? Shade butter. Not that one.
We got to switch gears here for a second.
Our practice quiz, you guys were down. I don't even do no research. Yes, you do. No, this one you have to equal it to 0.
All right, so let's start on the side. I guess number 1.
No, 2.8 is 2.7. Let's keep it. Oh, you know, I forgot to do it as well. Calculations.
All right, so let's start on the side with number 1. And we're switching gears back back to what we did before, which is solving equations. Alright, so let's just pause for a second. Stop talking, pay attention. This is a big equation. Now, the problems we just did had a less than or greater than here. So for those, we drew a number line, and our answer was like brackets and parentheses and stuff. This is an equals, so my answer is going to be m equals. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
No number line, none of that stuff, just m equals. We said the key to this kind of problem is making all of the denominators the same. All of the denominators have to match, which means they all have to have a 3, an m minus 2, and an m plus 2. Would everyone agree with that? We're gonna make them match, they gotta have it all. So this one, what's he going to need? He needs a 3, I'm gonna do it in a different color. He needs a 3 and an m minus 2. Would everyone agree with that?
Yes.
And what does this one need?
A 3 and
A 3 and an m plus 2? And what does this one need?
M plus 2, M minus 2.
M plus 2, m minus 2. Now, remember, if you put it in the bottom to make them all match, then you gotta put them in the top. So this is gonna have a 3 and an m minus 2. This one's gonna have a 3 and an m plus 2. And this one's gonna have an m plus 2 and an m minus 2.
What is the middle one? B minus 2? On the top?
It already has a minus 2 in the bottom. I have to give it a 3 and an m plus.
I'm talking about the top side. It's M plus 2, M plus 2.
Yes, because the original problem was m plus 2. And then I needed to give it a 3 and an m plus 2. Whatever you put in the bottom has to be what goes in the top. Okay, did everybody see? The denominators now match. So what do I have? On the top now, 2 times 3, that's 6, times m minus 2, minus 3 times m plus 2, m plus 2, equals 7, m plus 2, m minus 2. So would you agree there's gonna be like just a bunch of foiling now? We're gonna have to do a lot of foiling and distributing and stuff. So here we go. 6m minus 12. Go ahead and foil those together. So that'll be m squared. So I distributed here. Now I have minus 3, and then I foiled all that, and that's what I have in there. And then I'm gonna foil this. Shh. Are you guys doing math?
Huh?
Are you talking about math?
Yeah.
There's a lot of arithmetic here. You have to be careful. All right, so 6m minus 12. Now it's kind of up to you. Do you want to go ahead and distribute, or do you want to clean up that parentheses first?
Let's clean that up.
Clean it up. So that's going to be m squared plus 4m plus 4. this one's gonna be just m squared minus 4. So I cleaned up my parentheses, and now I have to distribute. What's negative? No, because this is being times. You have to do the multiplication before any addition. Okay, this is not 12 minus 3. Remember, that 3 is being distributed. So you have to do the distributive first.
No.
All right. And this is big, I'm running out of room. So I'm gonna erase all this and come back up here. All right, so what have I got? Let's start collecting like terms. Negative 3m squared minus 6m minus 24 equals 7m squared minus 28. Now what?
Bring it on.
I get it all set equal to 0. So that's going to be 10m squared. I'm going to add 3. Add 6m. And add 24. Yep, it's a mess. But you can handle it. You just have to be patient, one step at a time. Can we divide everything by 2 and maybe make our numbers a little bit better? So now I have 5m squared plus 3m minus 2 equals 0. I think that factors. I don't have to factor though. What else could I do? Quadratic formula. I think that factors. Lordy Lord, after all that, I'm gonna get my answers. What are my answers gonna be? 2 over 5, very good. Because 5m minus 2 equals 0, so we add 2 and divide by 5. And what's the other one? Negative 1. Now, I erased my problem, so I need to look back. Are either one of those extraneous? No. No. Because the only way to be extraneous is to make your denominator 0. And if you put in these two numbers, your denominator won't be 0. So those are the answers to the problem. Ay, 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 ay. Let's look at the one on the back and see how it is. Okay, so fine, after all that, this is what goes down in the answer blank. All right, turn it over. There's another example on the back. Your quiz will have just one problem, but we're going to practice another one. Now, you may think I'm dorky, but I'm going to make that 1 over 1 because I have to remind myself that all of the denominators have to match. Not just the ones on this side, they all have to match. So I'm gonna write that as a fraction to remind myself it needs the same denominator as everything else. Okay, so what is that common denominator going to be? Two x plus 1 and 2x plus 3. So the first fraction needs a 2x plus 3. The second fraction needs a 2x plus 1. And the third fraction needs them both. Okay, now whatever's in blue has to be up on top too. So I'm gonna put a 2x plus 3 here. I'm gonna put a 2x plus 1 here. I'm gonna put both of those here. Sometimes the arithmetic gets ugly, but we need to be able to get this far. Is everybody on board here? Okay, so now we can ignore the denominators and just look at the numerators. So all I did was say, okay, my denominators are gone, they all match. So here's what I have on top. Yep. Agreed? So here we go. 8x squared, you've got to do your arithmetic carefully, plus 12x minus 4x squared minus 2x. There's a possible pitfall right there. Negative 2x, negative 2x. You're distributing. And then this is a FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. Here, it looks like I've got 4x squared plus 10x on the what? I make mistakes too, keep an eye on me, does that look okay?
Yeah, good.
And then on the other side, I'm going to have 4x squared plus 8x plus 3. What do I need to do? Move it all to one side? So, wait a minute. Aren't my x squareds gone? So I have 10x equals 8x plus 3. So 2x equals 3. And what does x equal? X equals 3/2. If I put in a positive 3/2, I'm not going to get 0, so that is my answer. No extraneous roots. That's my answer. One's only for x. So I gotta do x straight. No, you go to C period. good
Lindsay
weekend.
just mowed me on down the hall.
See you on Monday. We'll have a little quiz.
Patty slipped over there. Like you do what you do.